Hello, everyone, and welcome to I think our 9th webcast, which is blowing my mind that we've been at these for so long. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and joining us on this crazy journey that we're happy to have you on. Today is such a great topic. I'm really excited to delve back into iconic Hollywood moments, and we have Petra Flannery and Lee Harris, who I'll introduce in a minute. I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Levi Higgs. I'm the archivist at David Webb. And continually we're so lucky to be able to mine the archive and look through the sort of trove of all the great information we have at this historic American brand, and sort of dissect all these different stories that come up. And red carpet and Hollywood has always been like a great topic for us. So I'm super happy to have this discussion today. Just a little housekeeping. I want to tell everyone that as you tune in, there's a chat box so you can interact with each other. Feel free to play around in there. And there's also a Q&A box so that as we have the conversation take place, put your questions there. And by the end of the conversation, we can get to the questions. So with that, I will introduce Petra. Hi, Petra. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much.
It's one of my favorite topics here is jewelry and David Webb.
Absolutely. Do you just want to tell us a bit about your background and how you got to do what you do?
Sure. I mean, I've been in the business, kind of in the fashion world all my career. For over 20 years or so, I've been styling. And prior to that, I worked at Elite Models. So I kind of had a little bevy into photographer and model world. And, I've always loved fashion. So that's what sparked that start in my career. And I think I always kind of kept up with all the editorials and things. And I think that's where I was sort of first introduced to David Webb,
yeah.
And just thinking about being here today. And I kind of fell into the whole styling world just by chance from, one career leading to another. And I didn't really know that this was such a, was going to be my end all. And I happily made it here and been loving it for all this time.
Great.
And so I mainly do, focus on red carpet styling.
Yeah, great, perfect. And I just pulled up a few amazing images from your work that we'll touch on as we move through. Just wanted everyone to get a little taste before we start. And Lee, hello, how are you?
Hi, Levi. How are you?
Great.
Very well, thanks. Thanks so much for having me. It's been going to be really exciting, I think.
Yeah, our pleasure. Can you tell us a bit about your background as well?
My background, similarly to Petra, I just kind of fell into this business almost before it was really a business. I came to LA and I went to UCLA and I was oddly enough an economics and accounting major, which makes no sense. But I always was interested in fashion and movies. And I started out my career working in film and television on sets, being a costumer. And through that, I just met different actresses on sets, and we just kind of hit it off. And this was kind of before, styling was a huge thing. There might have been like a handful of people that mostly did magazines and stuff. And, they'd just be like, I happen to be going to the Emmys or the Oscars. Can you reach out? Can you help me? Just because we happen to be working together. And so then that kind of bloomed into like a whole, the industry exploded, and then I just kind of focused more on that styling instead of working in film. So I enjoy it very, very well, though. I love the fashion aspect of things and helping people create looks and things like that. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think what's so great about this is to have both of you here and sort of in discussion, because I think Lee mentioned this, like that's sort of a rare occurrence to be able to discuss your work and talk with a colleague who does similar things. So we're really excited to dive into all this.
Yeah, I'm too.
Okay, so the way that we've sort of structured this talk is, just so everyone is aware, we have different sort of materials that we want to anchor ourselves around. And of course, we wanted to start with turquoise because it's a beautiful stone and it's got a great history at David Webb. I don't know if you saw last week's talk was all about color, talked a lot about turquoise, but here we're touching on it again with this amazing image of Lana Turner from 1966. The movie was called Madam X. David Webb had a great relationship with the producer, Ross Hunter, at the time. And I mean, it's just one of my favorite David Webb images. I know Lee and Petra, you both love it too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, the turquoise is stunning, and obviously against the black there. And You know, this is at the time too where people wore, you know, suites of jewelry.
Yes.
You know, everything's the earrings, the necklace, and the ring. You know, they were all from, you know, a certain collection. So it's really extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I've always been crazy about turquoise. It's one of the things that drew me to David Webb initially, is just because I just love turquoise. I don't know if it's because my grandma and my mother used to wear kind of like, you know, Native American turquoise pieces when I was younger, but I always have just loved turquoise, and I think it's such a, almost like it goes with everything. I think it does. But
Absolutely.
yeah, and I love that.
And I think also that, like, and Lee bringing up that, like, oh, you think of it as a certain, you know, element of like maybe sometimes being a Navajo jewelry art. This is like, you know, David Webb brings it into like this upscale, this like elegant, you know, world by mixing it with diamonds and, you know, and setting gold. So that's where you kind of see turquoise as, you know, in a different light.
Absolutely. And Lee, can you tell us about this? I'm sure everyone saw this moment online when it happened. This is sort of one of my favorite red carpet looks from the last year or so.
Mine's one of my favorite, I feel like, that I've ever been involved in. I feel very thankful. This dress was kind of made, it was made for Helen by Mark and James at Baji Mishka. They've been longtime collaborators. And just for like a couple of years, it was several years in the like incubation, I just was kind of bouncing around the idea of like, I love an opera coat, let's do something. You know, the occasions that one has to wear such a garment are not frequent, but anyways, so you know, initially we were kind of toying around with color schemes, and I always came back to like, this type of a look would need David Webb jewelry to like make it sing. And so initially we kind of had thought about, you know, like a ruby and emerald, because there's another ruby and emerald necklace of yours that I'm slightly obsessed with, but then we thought that the turquoise would be nice and cheerful. And I remember trying to be as specific as possible when we were going through fabric selections and sending images of, your turquoise has such a deep richness in tone that I really wanted that to be a part of the dress. And then, you know, you do mix the emeralds with the turquoise frequently, so you can't see it here, but the lining of the coat is emerald green. Right. And initially I hadn't thought of this necklace. I was thinking of the Madame X necklace, which is my like ultimate favorite. But you know, the turquoise is the same color. And so yeah, so then the dress had arrived, and you know, sometimes if an actress is doing a press tour for a period film where they wear giant costumes, they want to like go the opposite and do something simple. But luckily, you know, Helen and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to wear such a grand kind of ensemble, and the jewelry really just made everything sing and come together so lovely. So I mean,
Catherine the Great is like the moment that you want to celebrate jewelry. I think so.
I mean, it's such an extraordinary look. It's so impactful. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think like that the Oscars is like the level 10 of dressing, and I think the Oscars is more like an 8, whereas like the Met or Cannes or something is more like a 10. And you know, we kind of decided that Catherine the Great was deserving of a level 10. So you know, and I was so happy with the way it was just one of those times when, you know, everybody was getting ready and the hair was beautiful and the makeup was beautiful and everything was just like, everybody in the room knew that it was something really special, you know, at the time. So yeah.
And I think it's interesting you mentioned that you were sending like color swatches, and so I think a lot of people have the question of like, what comes first, the look or the jewelry? And in this instance, it seems like the jewelry kind of came first.
The jewelry was definitely an inspiration, because I really, in the back of my mind, wanted it to be a cohesive look. And the David Webb jewelry has such a wide range of rich, saturated colors, be it, you know, rubies or emeralds or coral or jade, that I knew that I wanted to incorporate that somehow and just make the whole look sing. Right. So yeah, it was definitely specifically, the color palette was specifically chosen around your turquoise that I love so much. Yeah.
And I just wanted to include the original sketch here so that people can see, like, this necklace has always been like an amazing statement necklace, like right here on your chest is like a, you know, really strong look. And, you know, here it was originally done in sort of different stones. You've got sapphires, rubies, emeralds, a little more like, you know, your typical stones you would think of, but like for us to do it in turquoise was really a revelation. I think.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And then with the green mixed in is lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning.
And it definitely needs that, like you're saying, yes, either a really high neckline or a really open neckline. So this really just kind of lent itself, because we had other options of necklaces, and this one just kind of very early on presented itself as the obvious choice. So
absolutely. Great. Well, let us move on to another really important material for us, which is coral. This is one of my favorite stories. It's the Elizabeth Taylor Maltese Cross coral brooch with a sapphire in the center and little white enamel accents around the sides. This is a photo of her during, I think it was 1968, Dr. Faustus press tour, and she was with Richard Burton, and she also had a coral lion cuff and a coral ring, and a member of the press had asked her, "Oh, tell us about your jewelry, Miss Taylor." And she said, "Oh, well, it's all by David Webb, and maybe if I mention his name, I'll get a gift." And it was like the most Elizabeth Taylor story there is, so it's one of my favorites. But it just sort of opens up the topic of great coral moments in Hollywood. And here we go. We can segue right into Renée with Petra.
Yeah, and here's Renée wearing coral, which coral really is one of my favorite stones as well, and it's so unique and it's rare now. It's like you can't I think we were talking about it, Levi, before, that you guys have this abundance of coral from years ago that you can work with, and different pieces that you've made over the years, because now it's an endangered
Exactly.
stone to work with.
Yep.
So it really is very rare. And I know even in moments of travel and things, we've been we've wanted to take pieces, but you can't. I think you can't even insure them, because they're they're so they're kind of priceless at this point.
Right.
But here's Renée, wearing this beautiful, and this kind of tomato coral, like very, like, I don't know, it reminds me of it's like an Italian coral, where with a Jason Wu look for the Palm Springs Film Festival. And, here, Renée likes, she really likes a statement piece, and that's why, it's David Webb has really always been our go-to for her, because, you guys have those very artful pieces, and to have like that one pop of red there, and, with the ring, it just kind of, it creates a whole look, it balances out things, and it just gives, like, you look at this picture and you just kind of see this Renée, like, beautiful, fresh face, and then this little pop of coral, and just sort of, I don't know, just it's a happy moment. It creates the look, accents it well. And I love the shape of this too. It's a little bit masculine, the square, but then it's like soft. It's
it's definitely part of that like groovy 1970s geometric design.
Which is so great about, the looks too. It's like that 70s, those elements.
It makes it, talking about like a punctuation of color, like for an all black look and a black enamel ring with this great coral cabochon stone. It makes me think of Diana Vreeland, like the eye has to travel, right? Like you're looking at her, you're looking at her shoulders, the ruffles, and then right down to the ring. Like it's great.
Right. It's just, it's a nice touch. I like that. Like you said, a punctuation.
Yes. And here's just another fabulous shot of it. I think, we were talking about like the sort of new thing of like red carpets having like a great photo moment, like so fabulous to have this lovely shot from that time.
I know, it's like we were saying too, the red carpet, then it's kind of like nowadays they, you have these side areas where pictures are taken, which is so nice because it really captures the moment, because sometimes you don't get to see all the details on the carpet. And so when you get to do these intimate shots, and they're portraits and they kind of live on, we're looking at these pictures of the celebrities in the past, Donna Turner and everything, and those are iconic pictures, so it's nice to have close-ups and you kind of see personality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that could be like a magazine cover almost. It's really beautiful.
And then we also have, of course, Helen in coral.
Coral, I love. This whole jewelry selection was just kind of based on the dress, kind of that like deep, rich. It's the Elie Saab, and it was that deep, rich kind of sage green, and just kind of thinking that my initial reaction when picking jewelry is to go for color and do contrasting saturated tones. I really love that vibe a lot. And to me, I was just not thinking of any other stones besides coral that I would really, you know, obviously we could have done jade or turquoise, but I just thought that the coral was such a nice contrast. And I don't know, I just love the tone on tone. That's her own ring. That's her own ring, but not David Webb. So anyways, but yeah, I do love just the texture of this coral, and just there's just an intricateness and all the different pieces and placements of the diamonds, and I don't know, just the architecture and the engineering of it all is just fascinating to me. So yeah, and that it was, you know, I just love it all. So yeah, I just thought that the coral was like a nice pop to on the green.
You had mentioned like that like you don't always want to do like heavy gemstones, right? Like sapphires, emeralds, rubies, like that can have its time, of course, but like to celebrate another sort of colorway, and especially with an opaque stone that's just like a kind of a flatter color. It's not like a sparkly gemstone. Like that's a nice way to work it in.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the era of Dynasty, so I have a very specific memory of what is a sapphire and a diamond and a ruby, and it's that like more is more kind of dripping kind of mentality that I've never really been attracted to. So I've always been more interested in kind of semi-precious, minerally kind of looks and colors, you know, or even if it's a ruby, like a cloudy ruby instead of like, you know, those dark style. So anyways, I'm a big fan of like the layering of the color on color. You know, I know a lot of people like diamonds and stuff, but I've just been a very big fan of coral and jade and all those kind of like minerally lovely colory things for my whole life. So anytime I can incorporate them, I try to.
And I think if I remember correctly, she had these amazing like huge platform shoes that were like clear acrylic.
Yeah.
It really brought in the 70s vibe.
Secret weapon for underdresses are we call them stripper shoes, and they come from a Hollywood Boulevard, and they are about, I don't know,
huge.
8 or 9 inch heel and like a 5-inch platform, and they're just clear. They go with everything. So, I
love it.
Yeah. So, anyways,
I also wanted to have this great picture of Lauren Hutton. I think it's.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they're layered too. You know, she's doubled up with the cuffs.
Yeah.
Again, that's where you see like it's so artful. David Webb's so artful, and I, like you were saying, Levi, I love how this, you know, the stone in this coral is so matte. There's something about that you know, it's just it adds a different dimension to dressing, and I think it's very cool. It's slightly understated, but it's really a bold statement too. So.
And this sort of, I mean, the image here with the one coral cup and one rock crystal cup, they're both fluted in the same way. It's like the perfect segue into one of our next core materials, which is rock crystal. I have this image here of Marissa Berenson. I think she's going to the Met Gala. She's got a fabulous rock crystal Maltese cross with black enamel pinned right there. David Webb earrings, I think some David Webb cuffs as well.
Wow.
And then this photo, this is Cher's hand. That's also a Richard Avedon shot. Just, you know, very powerful with all this rock crystal jewelry. It's so luminous, so beautiful. It goes with everything. And it leads us on to like this moment.
There's there's the rock crystal. I mean, what's, you know, unique about these pieces too is it's not just rock crystal. You've added David Webb has some color in there too, which really the blue here, you know, kind of anchors things, and it sort of sets, you know, the boundary of where the crystals are. And what you can't tell in Renée's dress, is an amazing custom Armani Privé, is that there is a little bit of blue and pink running through the sequin and through the piping. It's like this, you know, amazing like crystal piping, and so that ring, you know, just sort of encompassed both things, and you know, and it got a great moment because it had, you know, got to hold the Oscar. you know?
So great.
It was I mean, it was such an exciting night, and we, you know, we went through so many different. We you know, we were looking at, you know, from this dress, knowing the luster and everything of it. knew it had to be crystal pieces. And I think I had every crystal piece. I think I drove that. It was like, what else do you have? We had cuffs, we had rings, we had everything. And, we ended up just doing the ring, but there were so many things. I mean, I think one of the bracelets we had was the one in the share picture there, the one up left. Yep. So these pieces have been around forever. And like, that's it's so fun too, that they're not just new pieces. They're, pieces that have some history. And there's something unique working with the crystal, because it's, it's not diamond, but it still has this real elegance and this upscale feel. And I like that it's kind of a little bit subdued.
Right.
But again, it's, it's got elegance.
Yeah. Well, David Webb himself said that rock crystal was the best white alternative to diamonds. And, it comes out of this moment of him talking at a party with Gloria Vanderbilt, and that, she's wearing a rock crystal necklace that was from the 1920s. And they're talking about the vulgarity of big diamonds and how this is like the perfect stone that gives you that luminosity, gives you like a great scale without it being, a huge ostentatious diamond. So like for rock crystal to be the moment chosen for the Oscars, that's really like says a lot,
Yeah, I love that story. I think it's also kind of, relevant to now, let's see, with where we're at, it's kind of like it's, crystal is something that's a nice in between, know.
Plus it adds a nice bit of architecture and a graphic element to that sometimes it works very well with evening clothes. So yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
Well, Lee, you can tell us about this rock crystal.
My favorite. Yeah. I love this rock crystal. I just think that your rock crystal pieces have so much versatility, because even like before we were saying this necklace, which here obviously is worn with a gown, which I love. It could be jeans and t-shirt. It could be with a tuxedo. It could be, there's just so many different ways that you can wear this and it still always works perfectly. Yeah, I love it. This was the first time that I actually had worked with Helen. I think she was getting a Lifetime Achievement at Palm Springs International Film Festival, and this beautiful Escada red stretch chiffon. And it's a big square neckline, so it needed something substantial to kind of fill the space. And this was, I was just thinking, like, this era was not an era where people went out without earrings on. Usually Petra can attest that, for years, like a 10-carat stud was naked ears, so now to wear no earring was kind of like, kind of different for that time. And I just love this necklace. I still look back at it and think, so when I see it in the store, it's got so much potential for, I don't know. I think that if you're like starting to buy David Webb, it's so like the rock crystal is such an easy way to like introduce yourself to being a fine jewelry customer.
Absolutely.
So many options, and it just kind of goes with everything. And I always kind of in fittings, I'll use the saying like, it's there, but it's not there. Like if this necklace was all diamonds or other stones, it would be so like, large, but the crystal kind of blends with the skin, but still adds some shimmer. I really enjoyed this look very well. So
you said it all. I mean, especially with this cuff down here, I just want to point out, like, you can wear rock crystal with any color because it's just going to take on sort of the vibe of whatever is around it. And that's
it's almost
there's like a transparency there, which again leads to like, on the skin. And I thought the same. It's like wearing this played down is so cool. I see it with like a, button up road shirt and jeans. And like, it's kind of, again, like you have that nod to the 70s, and it's where David Webb, it really has that high and low where you want to, wear the stuff in the day, because it's like, it creates personality. It's cool to wear it, to downplay it, because it just kind of, makes a stylish moment. I think some of these pieces people think sometimes are too precious to do, but it's like, wear it. It's so their pieces are so fun. And I'm sure a lot of your clientele too are people that it's like collecting art. I think people that probably buy a lot of the pieces are, kind of must look at it that way too. Because it's, and it really, like I said, it really does create a, sets you apart. Like it creates a style for you.
And Lee, you've worked with it before too.
Oh, Jane. Yeah, more rock crystal. I mean, the earrings and the bracelet. I mean, once again, there it's just kind of adds that little textural element that's so great. You know, those earrings, I'm wacky about those earrings, because if they were studs, it wouldn't be the same if they were just diamonds, but the crystal really adds a lot of volume and shimmer without being like kind of over the top, if you want to say. And I also just love how the bracelet has the blue stones, because the dress had kind of a more of a silvery blue shimmer. You know, just the introduction, you know, obviously the belt and this, you know, it was just like a whole like moment. So yeah, I really just enjoy the rock crystal pieces so much. I think they're so useful and they just go with everything. I love them. So yeah.
And I think we were talking earlier about the black enamel being like this great kind of through line of, it gives you a graphic element, it gives you like another color to sort of bring in, well, absence of color, I suppose. But, you know, it gives it a little bit more also with the sapphires. And that sort of is the perfect segue into our next material, which is all about enamel. This slide is sort of setting us up for what's to come, but it's the mega cubist ring, the drawing here of this fabulous ring, which you can see in this image, which is also a Richard Avedon shot from Vogue.
It's fantastic too.
And the necklace, the groove necklace, big emeralds and rubies and black enamel, really geometric, like these huge plaques with diamond straps. Love both these pieces. And then of course Renée did as well.
Yeah, we love that ring. And this year Renée was getting an award at the Santa Barbara Film Festival, and Tom Ford made her this custom tuxedo look. And again, you know, this is where this ring has this kind of 70s feel. I almost think it's like, and it, you know, I've forgotten that in that last slide, it is kind of shown as a pinky ring. I was saying what I loved about it was, you know, I thought it reminds me of like a 70s, you know, pinky ring, you know, back in the day where you know, people wore like those big chunky things. And I love it because it works so well with the tuxedo look, which is kind of that sleek again, you know, kind of like sexy and, you know, the you know, masculine feminine look. So a little bit of art here is great. And this is a ring that we've, you know, Renée's worn it several times. You know, I'm a big fan of wearing things, you know, over and over, because I feel like,
I love that.
You know, when you love them, you wear them, and you know, kind of, you know, when there's a comfortableness about jewelry, I think that's very special. It's very unique. So
and it certainly harkens back to those, you know, the good old days of Hollywood, like when, you know, Elizabeth Taylor or Jackie Kennedy or whomever, like jewelry, it can be worn way more times than, you know, maybe one specific look, and then it becomes really emblematic of who you are.
Correct. I think that's true. It becomes your, you know, your little stylistic look. So
Plus I'm glad we're getting away from that concept that things can only be worn once, because it's so yucky. So even clothing, I've noticed.
limiting.
Wear your things, love your things. There's absolutely nothing wrong. And maybe it's, you know, I don't know, maybe it's like the fading of the tabloid culture or whatever, but I'm glad people are feeling confident enough to, you know, repeat something. It's kind of crazy, all these beautiful things that get worn once. So yeah, repeat. You love your things, wear them.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Lee, this look is like precisely like with the white, white top, and then here it is.
So funny. Oh my God. Yeah, this is an Adam Lippis outfit, and I was mentioning before, it just kind of reminded me of like the chicest hostess I couldn't decide if it was Palm Springs or New Canaan in 1972, like having a dinner party, and I love this, like, you know, back to Gloria Vanderbilt, she did a lot of like blouses with ball skirts, and I love that kind of vibe. This particularly was for CinemaCon, and it's kind of one of those events where it's like it's in the late morning, so you're not really, but it's in Las Vegas, and so it's like the decision of what to wear is kind of specific. And I just thought this necklace really was just the perfection of like the graphicness of the necklace compared to the leopard, you know, the green and the black tied in with the purse and the belt. I just love it so much. And and it was just the perfect length to wear over the blouse, which I think is so great about so many of your necklaces, that it's hard when they're that like mid-length to like get it really to work on everything. So I just love everything about this. I think it's a nice juxtaposition of different elements that
And the green clutch too, with the big emerald right there in the middle.
Yeah, the emerald was the inspiration. The emerald was the inspiration for the green bag. Yeah, exactly. So, and I just think there's such a casual elegance about, a ball skirt with pockets, and there, I just love the whole, the look of it all. Yeah, that necklace is quite amazing.
Yeah, and I love the combination of the rubies and the emerald in there, which you wouldn't think always works, but in this necklace it so works. It's
absolutely,
it does. It's a tricky thing to mix stones, but you guys really
those two colors
to nail it. Yeah, exactly.
You kind of have to go high contrast or like monotone, like those
you
are
have to go more is more. More is more. Yeah, that's why I love David
Webb. And this one really inspired us yesterday with our pre-talk of like, we love the black, and black and white is so also important to David Webb, just the graphic, the zebra or in black enamel and white enamel are like great accents, and this look is so chic.
To me, it's so classic Hollywood, and that's really Renee, and she embodies that look so well. And I mean, this dress had on the back, and this dress had so many transformations. It was a different skirt to begin with, and we reworked it, and then it just came into the most elegant creation with the satin neckline and the way that the collar, everything's not it's a little bit off, where we have the collar pointed up and one's down, and the open neckline, which looks great on Renee always. And, this ring, again, this is where like just that little pop of something, creates an overall look. Like this picture in black and white would be, fantastic as well. And, the white enamel, which I find always, I love black enamel, but there's something about the white to me, it's so fresh. It's kind of unique. And again, setting it with the diamonds and giving it that gold that gives like a little bit of a modern feel. The weight of it it's really a unique piece. But I'm a big fan of white enamel, especially too. I feel like it's great summertime, as well. So absolutely. It really just kind of was the perfect accent to this look.
Everything's so cohesive. I mean, like especially with this look, the black enamel of the earring, the dress, I mean, so great.
Yeah, I always find that the black enamel really, in an accessory like this, it really integrates itself so nicely into a black dress. And I think we've seen that with some of the black, like the coral ring that Renee wore. Just having the black trim, it really becomes a part of the look instead of a standing out. I don't know. Anyways, this black dress, it had, the silver and the gold and the studs, and it had a little bit of like a, I don't know, 70s rocker kind of vibe. So these earrings, I just thought really lent themselves beautifully to be complimentary. It was kind of that time, this was back in 2013, I think, when the whole like dripping in diamonds and the chandeliers and that whole thing was like kind of common. And this was, I think, just a nice, refreshing, palette cleansing earring, and to become a part of the complete look instead of like dress versus accessories, vying for attention. I just thought it was really lovely. So I love the black enamel. I think it really just it helps to integrate the jewelry into the outfit more so than just wearing. If this was all diamonds, it would not be the same to me. So
agreed.
Right.
And this was Emilia Clarke, and like the vibrancy of the green enamel really just like draws your eyes straight there.
And this green enamel, it's got like a sheen to it, it's like it's like this magical, coloration, this whole earring combination with all the stones, the opals. I mean, they transfix you. It comes in, they take on different colors. I'd seen these earrings and I put them aside, knowing that the Emmys were coming up. And then I had a different, I didn't know this dress was going to be the dress. I mean, we hadn't done our fitting yet, but I knew those earrings were something special. And I had kind of anticipated a different dress, thinking they could go with. But then when we tried them on with this dress, then we knew that this dress was working. And we had them at the fitting, and it was magical. It was like that's the earring, because that blue, you know, it takes on the color of the dress. This is a Valentino dress, and I mean, it's extraordinary. And it sort of goes with the theme of Valentino, who, you know, their shows, they often have big, you know, crazy big, colorful, you know, earring accents. And so it really kind of kept in that theme. But yeah, I mean, everything from Amelia's eyes to the colors of the stones, it works so well. Yeah. And you know, it was
sleek. I mean, I remember the dress was like really like plunging in her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
Yeah. Big thumbs up to the hair department for that slick back. Love it. Yeah.
And I love that too. It's like, you know, sometimes that's all it needs, you know.
Yeah.
Lee and I were kind of talking, it was like, sometimes you do fittings and you see, you know, when people just have their hair up or whatever, just, you know, you really see the whole look come together. And, you know, this kind of, just sleek back, sort of runway-esque, is perfect for it.
Yeah.
Right. This sort of takes us into like color in general. Like the yellow dress is so great. The brocade bracelet is also really colorful. How do you go about marrying these two in your mind?
This was a dress that Brandon Maxwell had made for us. He's just one of the loveliest people, and I'm always a big fan of canary yellow. Which, harkening back to Renee, I think Renee is the person who made canary yellow like the amazing color years ago, when nobody wore yellow before that, you know, for decades. I just think this color is so beautiful. This Tyler Ellis clutch matched it perfectly. You know, and I think this was also just an exercise possibly in editing. And sometimes it is just about that one specific fabulous piece, and it doesn't need to be the suite or we did have some earrings, and we just thought, you know what, it just should be this bracelet, and that's enough. It was a premiere, so it wasn't like a super, you know, massive red carpet, and I think it was the perfect choice for her. And I just
how you would wear it in real life, you know, like.
Yeah, and plus I just love all these colors together, and yellow isn't in it, but yet it goes so well with the yellow. And you know, I think there in a different picture there was also a yellow Montclair puffer, because this was like in freezing cold November, that was yellow. So, you know, just the ones, it was almost like a Liz Taylor like coat with jewelry moment, like one piece is all you need. But yeah, I just love this. I just love everything about this. I just thought it was super special.
Just fun. It's joyful. That's what.
Well, it's fun. It is fun, and that's what you know, you think of with David Webb. It's fun. You know, it's just fun.
And sometimes it's more about the contrast and not about the matching. So, you know, initially I think that I had, when this dress was being made, I had in mind that Madame X necklace, because I just thought the neckline would have been so perfect with that. But at the time, I think it's gone to some lucky buyer. But yeah, so I think that's why.
A good problem to have.
No, it's a great problem to have.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, it's my favorite necklace ever. But yeah, so this was not that it was the second choice, but it was a lovely, you know, equally fabulous alternative for a lesser, you know, premiere, you know, big premiere. So, you know, sometimes it is just about like that. What's that old saying? Take one thing off, and this sometimes it is just about having one fabulous thing.
Perfectly.
So yeah, I love it. So
great. This sort of is one of my favorite moments, I gotta say. The rainbow umbrella sort of kicked off the whole Judy press tour. Petra, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a situation where, you know, you never want rain on the red carpet, especially when it's not properly covered. But this couldn't have been a better combination of, you know, the umbrella giving the nod to the rainbow, the Judy film, you know, primarily taking place in London. And here's Renee at the premiere, and she's wearing this, you know, beautiful Amelia Wickstead lilac dress, and then, you know, you've got the nod of the umbrella, but really it's like, look, we're wearing the ruby ring here, you know. So and there's something really great, I feel like, about, you know, you wouldn't always think that this lilac and red ruby would go together, but when you put the two next to each other, it's just this dynamic, you know, combination. And and the ring is stunning, you know, there you can see it in full detail, but the, you know, the stone on top, how it's faceted, and it's yeah, it's an incredible piece, and it feels modern too, you know.
Sort of architectural in a way.
It is very architectural.
Yeah.
And,
Plus, it's kind of a
that nice pop.
fun nod to the ruby slippers too. A fun
Absolutely.
little wink, a little wink there to Judy.
That's right.
I feel like Renee is the queen of like ringography. Like it's always like, where can I put the ring?
We've been through them all. I mean, I think, you know, yeah, look out, Levi, like she might be taking your archivist job, because because she does love rings so much. I mean, we have gone through so many different, you know, I think we've tried on everything. And, you know, just with so much enthusiasm and so much fun to it all, because, you know, that's her look, you know, that's what sets her apart. That she's like, I'm, you know, a one piece, you know, typically a one piece jewelry person. And, you know, she keeps everything else mostly clean, you know, up top. And so those are the statement pieces. And then you know, she'll be forever known for that. And
we love that.
Yeah, no, I think it goes back to personal style, which I think David Webb is like the jeweler of people who have personal style. It just speaks to people in different ways. And this is, no pressure to have to wear earrings and necklaces. This is her thing. And I think, you know, that's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
Agreed. And here's a not ring moment that's equally as like powerful and beautiful.
Yeah.
It's also that same sort of situation of like, here's the great photo. She wore it on the red carpet, but then there was a photo booth moment or something, and that's where that image comes from.
Exactly, and it's such a gorgeous. I mean, the composition of that photo is beautiful, and this piece is just tremendous. It's to me like this, I don't know, this modern shell, and you know, the way that the diamonds graduate in size, and then the shape of, you know, how the emerald is cut, and it's not cut, you know, it's kind of got a swirl to it. So everything's, you know, it's on a different, you know, axis or something. And it's just, again, it's just a piece of art here. And, you know, I sat in the room there playing with a collection of flower outside the hotel, which ironically is the same hotel that David Webb boutique is in. And I sat there, I was like playing with it. And I mean, I got to know this bracelet really well. I just think it's tremendous. And, you know, and again, it's got, you know, in the picture on Renee, it kind of looks like it might be more opaque. And then when you see it with the light coming through it, you see that there's such a transparency. So it's a really unique piece.
Excellent job on the still life prop styling there, Petra. Great job.
Literally,
seriously though, where did you find those flowers in New York? I would think they were in the Bahamas or something.
I know, they're growing at the
oh, amazing. Wow.
So how do you go about, I mean, if you've sort of set the tone for like rings, how do you make a choice between a bracelet at any given moment? I mean, this has sort of great long sleeves, so maybe that.
Yes. We were, you know, when we tried on the dress, but you know, it does, since there is a long sleeve, it kind of felt nice to end that point with like something that had some weight to it. So it just felt right. And again, this was like the silhouette of dress. This was a custom Louis Vuitton dress, and it just had this real elegance off the shoulder and just form fitted, and it fit beautifully. And so sometimes it's, you know, Renee is known for, you know, she'll wear a lot of black, but it's a silhouette that, you know, defines her. And then this piece just, you know, just accents it so well. And the bracelet just felt right. And sometimes that's the way it is too. Like I was saying before, there's like a feeling that you put something on and you're like, that's it. Like, you know, I think it really helps too. It's like in fittings, a lot of times I have jewelry and you know, it's a nice distraction from all, you know, everybody sees the end results all the time, you know, on the carpet, but, you know, we go through multiple fittings and multiple times of putting the dress on and off. And the jewelry is sometimes it's a happy, you know, it's a happy subject. People, you know, a client will walk in, she sees the jewelry and it's like, oh my God, these are fabulous. And, you know, I've gone from a mood of like, oh, we have to do another fitting to, oh my God, this is exciting. Look at that. And it's a great distraction. And it really helps, you know, envision what the look, you know, will be at the end. So
I love that.
You know, jewelry is really it brings a magical feel to what you're doing when you think it's work. It's, it creates
Agreed.
a moment.
It is those like dichotomy of moments where sometimes you're in a fitting and it's dragging, but then you're also like, how lucky are we to have trays and trays of the most beautiful things and jewelers working with us. And it's a nice, jewelry is always like the icing on the cake. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Jane again. This is the Emmys a few years back. And in my mind, this is kind of just also, like I'd mentioned before, an exercise in editing, because we had initially thought, oh, maybe it needs like a really amazing big necklace, like a deep V. And we tried on, because David Webb has so many beautiful like necklaces with black and gold. The color tone mainly came from the buckle on the belt. So we knew we had to stick with gold. And sometimes yellow gold is tricky to find in fine jewelry, aside from with David Webb. So so it really just became an exercise of like less is more, trying to, the square of the buckle, we knew we wanted something kind of architectural and chunky. And I really, and then in the end, it just came to like leaving the neckline open was just like the best thing. And just doing the ear. And of course, another shout out to the hair department, that your hair behind the ear is like major. And I really think this is one of her most special looks. And it's just very French chic, less is more. It doesn't scream red carpet, it just screams like elegant lady.
Absolutely.
So
I think
enjoyed
golden
that.
graphic. I mean, it's great. I love how modern it feels, and the jewelry really, really complements the dress.
Right. And just gold and diamonds in general, like allow you to use a piece in a way that you're not, it's similar to rock crystal, like you're not super restricted to like, oh, this has to go with, like obviously you were matching your belt, but like here, this just, works perfectly. Gold periwinkle, you'd call that periwinkle dress.
It looks more periwinkle on here. It was a little bit more of it was more of a blue, like I wouldn't say a powdery blue, but it's kind of that in between. But a stunning dress. And again, is Armani Privé. And, this had this beautiful, crystal trim to it, and it's just kind of like the shape of how the top comes up, along with this crystal trim that we tried on again different pieces of web, and this bracelet, we were like, oh, this is perfect, because it also has the detailing of the diamonds the way they are. They very much mimic the trim of the dress, and and it's kind of beautiful, and does the way it twists together. It was stunning, and it looks so great with the gold statue in there too.
There you go.
Like, combined.
Exactly.
But I love these pictures of Renee too, because I was saying she just really embodies that classic Hollywood and movie star quality, the movie star qualities, and she just there's such an elegance to her. There's such an exquisite elegance to her in working with her, and so. Again, you may think, oh, it's just one bracelet, but there's a real subtle chicness to the way she
and a lot of thought behind it. I mean, pick the right one. But.
Sometimes things. It's like a lot of times people don't realize it. Like the simplest things take the longest to achieve and to come to bring that look together. So she embodies that.
Yes.
Yeah, this dress was one of my favorites. I love it, and that rounded neckline is so hard to get right, and they really
they 100% nailed it.
It
was.
And then here at the BAFTAs, I think we were all at David Webb. We were like, oh my gosh, she wore bracelets and a ring. Like
we did it all.
So excited. We love it all, but this was. But it also.
Ring. Oh, sorry. Go.
No. I was just gonna say it's the same sort of like restrained chicness, though. It's not too much, it's still that same like tone that she's setting the whole time, that you're both setting.
It's true. I mean, this ring had been speaking to us. We had this ring on hold for months, because this pink, that pink was so beautiful, and this dress, it was designed for the sleeves to have crystal embellishments, and I kind of started off, it's a custom Prada, and I started off, not really knowing if that was quite right. So I said, can you make it without, and can you also make sleeves with the crystals? And we can trade them out if we need to in the fitting, which is oftentimes what we do, because sometimes you don't know how things are going to be. So you're making sometimes you make the same dress in 2 colors, or you make something, you make multiple things. And so in this, we tried it on and we were like, wow, when we put it on Renee, it was just like, it was the Jackie O moment. This dress feels very, very 60s Jackie O. And it really didn't need all the crystals. There's such an elegance, and the pink on her skin was so complimentary. And then in mixing the jewelry on there, it just felt like there's something about the weight of this fabric, and there's a real sheen to it, that adding the cuffs, kind of balanced everything out. There's a weightiness to the cuff, but both cuffs. And what I love about it too is that they don't match. They're actually 3 pieces. There's 2 on one side, 3 pieces, 3 cuffs, 2 on one side and 1 on the other, and different shapes and different ways that the diamonds are set. And I love that, because it's not so matchy, but but it complements each other.
And a lot of our gold, you can sort of see it on the ring, is hand hammered. So it's got this nice, like, matte, shimmery sort of feel to it that goes with the fabric of the dress.
Yeah, it's like sateen touch, which is exactly what the fabric was. So, yeah.
And obviously, and you don't see a lot of pink stone, pale pink stone. So that really is very spectacular. And just the way it's set is so extraordinary too.
Yeah, it's like an 8, almost like a figure 8 almost, this ring. It's like, and it's quite big. I mean, it almost looks like it would span 2 fingers, but it's such a feminine piece too. With all of the the pieces that we talk about being kind of 70s masculine and edgy, this has a real feminine touch too. So I love that.
Nice. It's very true. And then we can't not talk about jade, of course, and this gets to Amy Adams, which she wears jade so beautifully.
Well, yeah, green really complements her. I mean, I think any color really complements Amy. She has this incredible, these features for jewelry too, and color, and with the red hair, it's like, she can wear colors that don't work on everyone. And the green dress on the left was a custom Tom Ford. It was inspired from his show 5 years ago that he did in Los Angeles, which was shown on the runway as white. And, we have always had that dress in mind. And then they gave us swatches in the green and this, beautiful green velvet and silk. And we were like, wow, this is definitely the color. And then, I think it was my sister, she works with me as well. And she had seen these earrings, I think in a photograph. And so we reached out immediately, and you guys tracked them down. And, I was like stunned that I was like, they're still around, they're available. And it really is one of my all-time favorite pieces and favorite looks, because it's such an artful thing. And Amy was promoting the Tom Ford Nocturnal Animals and Arrival at the same time, so we were doing red carpets left and right, and award shows, and this was the BAFTAs, and the whole look is very artful in that, in her character too, in Nocturnal Animals has that kind of feel. So it just really gave a great nod to the film, and I don't know, it felt like she stepped right out of the film for it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And then I think this is one of our last images, but of course Renee has worn jade as well, and this is sort of a departure from, like, I don't know, a little more like cleaner, simpler, like monotone outfits that she's worn, but it's works just as well. I love this dress.
Oh yeah, this was great. I mean, it was the LA premiere of Judy, and again, it was kind of marked that we're wearing red, and because she has done a lot of pastels too, so this was kind of more in the beginning of the of the season, but again, like, the red is so fantastic because it's a little bit of a nod to Judy, and the background, having that sparkle. And then the green, was there's a little bit of green in the dress, but it's more of a muted green. And so this pop of this, cabochon emerald and again, just flanked by the rubies, really gave like a little, you see it because there's a lot going on in the dress. And so this green just gave it a little pop. Right. And I love it. I love the combination.
Me too. Well, you guys, this is the end of our prepared slide moment. But
sad.
It is sad. But the good news is that we generated a lot of great questions from the audience. So if you're game, I've got some good ones for you both.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, this is for both of you, Petra and Lee. What do you look for when you dress for bigger red carpets versus smaller red carpets or press tours? When do you find yourself best collaborating with brands for your clients when it comes to placements? Like, how do you think about the differences between the big ones and the smaller ones?
I mean, I guess I'll start by saying I really do. I have to say one of my favorite times of my job, it's stressful, but is really going into like award season. And I find that I do a lot of collaborating, and especially in this whole past season with Renée, because collaborating with designers, I should say, is because I knew that she was going to go the distance. And it's where you really get to be creative, and you really, people are also, the designers are also game for it, because, it's such a big coverage for these carpets. Mm-hmm. And so I adore like being in on that and getting to, fabric swatch and color swatch and, go back and forth on designs. I'm so in awe of the whole of designers and everything they do and the art to it. So I do put a lot of emphasis on the red carpet. I mean, again, on a tour, there's just as much to, a lot of times for tour dressing, I'm thinking of things that inspire me, and you start out thinking one thing, and then you end up creating a story. So, it's a constant of, putting the amount of work into it and thinking of how you want things to look. But I think I get to really play when it comes to red carpet, big red carpet moments.
Yep.
I would agree with all of that. The one thing I was saying now is back maybe 10 years ago, dressing somebody for a press junket or maybe a chat show was a lesser kind of a big deal. But now with social media, everything can be a big deal, if you photograph it and post it. And I think that is the one, my whole, I kind of fell into this business. So every time somebody like says, yes, we'd love to dress her, I'm always kind of like, oh God, thank you. So now it's easier to share your thanks with the designers, with the public, to give a little bit of that added push, for all kinds of events, small and large. So I kind of enjoy that aspect of it as well. In any way, trying to like give a little promotion back, through social media or whatever. And I was a very late comer to Instagram, but I have enjoyed it from that perspective.
Lee, this is a question specifically for you. You work a lot with color mixing for Helen. What sorts of pieces do you gravitate toward the most when you're thinking that way?
Well, I guess it depends on if we're in a custom situation. Sometimes, like I said before, the color inspiration for the design comes from the jewelry or something I have in mind. I tend to lean in general towards more like rich, deep colors, as opposed to like dusty pastels, I think, in my mind. And I think David Webb does a lot of those colors so beautifully that it just kind of goes hand in hand as a no-brainer. So yeah, I just tend to favor colors. I love black and white, obviously, but I also love like really rich colors. I find a lot of times that those kind of muted, dusty colors, I don't know, I love them in person, but not necessarily in photos all the time. So you can never go wrong with red or turquoise or beautiful yellow. I'm just drawn to those colors personally. So that's just me. Okay. And I do love I think just when you're mixing your jewelry, it's about keeping them in the same tone as opposed to trying to mix a pale yellow diamond with a lemon yellow dress. I'd rather just do like a turquoise to keep it in the same tonal family and not the same color family necessarily. Yeah.
Okay, this one's kind of a fun one, so think about it for a second. But what are both of your all-time favorite Academy Award or red carpet looks that you didn't style, like from history, that you wish you had? Or maybe not.
Oh my God!
You had, but you have favorite like.
I mean, I always think Kate Blanchett is like does wonderful job. I remember from years ago, like there was a yellow and red combination. I believe Valentino dress.
Valentino, yeah.
And then there was like, you know, Givenchy moments she's had with like, you know, there was one in particular, she had just cut her hair and it was also like a lavender, it was kind of very strong on top, kind of squared. And, you know, I think she always hits the mark.
Totally. Agreed.
Yeah, I would say, I feel like I call it the dress that launched 1,000 knockoffs, was that Gwyneth white Tom Ford with the cape. I mean, it was just so like revolutionary at the moment. You know, when everybody was doing like mermaids and you know, beyond Grecian came before that, but it just, the silhouette. And then from that moment on, I think there's just, a cape has been in so many different elections in some form or another, or if it even just that cape, you know, that's attached, a separate cape, the long sleeve, you know, that just, I think that dress in particular just was kind of revolutionary for the design world.
Agreed.
Inspiration. Yeah, I just thought that was, and once again, not overly styled, the simple pulled back hair, a ring and a bracelet, you know, call it a day. Yeah, I just thought that was kind of fabulous, and also spent kind of ripple effect throughout fashion for years to come. Yeah,
and kind of the modern version of where, you know, you were starting off with Lee with Helen wearing, you know, the taffeta. It's like, you know, that kind of, you know, that taffeta is kind of like this kind of more, you know, glamorous old Hollywood, and then that like the Tom Ford cape was like brought it to like a, you know, more futuristic almost, you know.
Yeah, it was just amazing.
Dressing.
Yeah, and she was the perfect person to wear it. It was just everything was perfect about it. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, well, I just want to thank you both so much for joining us and having this conversation. I think we really covered a lot of ground and so many fabulous looks to dissect. So, and it's rare to have this back and forth. So, thank you so much.
It's fun. It's so
much fun. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
And I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. And if you want to take a look at some of our past webcasts, you can look at our website at davidwebb.com. There's the link on this page that you're seeing, /pages/webcast. So take a look there, subscribe to our newsletter and our YouTube channel, all of that good stuff. And everyone stay safe out there and have a great day. Thank you.